Hallelujah. Give him the highest praise. Hallelujah. Give him the highest praise. In the morning when I wake up, in the night when I wake up, I will lift up my voice to heaven and give you the highest praise. Hallelujah to my King. Hallelujah to my Father. Hallelujah to my Jesus. I bow before the throne. When I look at all the wonder and I see all the creation, the beauty of the universe, you never change. You never lie. You never change. You never change. Hallelujah to my Jesus. Hallelujah. 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 Hey, hey. Hallelujah. Hey. Give hallelujah. Hey. The highest praise. Hallelujah. Hey. Give him the highest praise. Hallelujah. Hey. Give him the highest praise. I'm not afraid, Jehovah. I'm not worship, Jehovah.
All right, let's. Ooh. Okay, let's get the program going. So I think let me just adjust the volume a little bit small. Okay, let's get the program going. Time is a little bit fast spent. We hope to spend a little bit less of time here this evening. Welcome to the last and final segments of today's program. All things considered, here we're going to be looking at some of the news, making headlines, and we're going to push the board around right here this evening, including you to form part of the conversation. I am Afonso Z and Sort of the Liberia Public Radio and Lpr-Tv. Let's get the ball rolling. Time is fast spent. Oh, what a time. Hey, today I'm Afonso Z and so welcome to the last and final segment in today's program. But we're going to be teaming out here to give analysis of some of the news making headline. Good evening. It's 8:17 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Welcome to our viewers across the globe. And one of our prime listeners Abu Fafanant, Harrison, Lucy, Amenta Jackson. Good evening and welcome. Do us a favor, just share the podcast, and we're going to be having a conversation yet this evening. A lot is unfolding. Welcome in Radio Lane inside Liberia, right here in the USA. One of the most liberal on this network will be joining me here this evening, and hopefully the man from Atlanta, Georgia, Amos George, will hopefully form part of the team work for us to have a conversation. A lot is unfolding. Let me bring in a liberal progressive here. I see him flipping through his photo that it seems like he get a lot on hand this evening. Let's go to Saxton, Sacramento, where the liberal on this network is standing by. Something Roku Branto. Here we go. The liberal.
Good evening, Mr. Soul. Good evening. Thank you very much for having us again.
Okay, good evening. So let me see what I can make a change here with this. What is happening here? Okay, so we're in the making. Welcome. Good evening, and how are you?
Oh, thank God. Thank God. As usual, God has been blessing us. And we just thank God. We continue to pray for one another, all of us. Let's continue to pray for one another. God continue to bless them. We say thank you for giving us the opportunity every day to get up and do what we have to do. Make sure our family and everybody is taken care of through His mercy.
Okay. All right, it sounds so nice. Like this, how the program want to end this evening. It's so kind. quiet, cool. What's going on today?
Well, nothing much, nothing much, Mr. So, I mean, what is happening in our own country as well? These are things that heavily weighs on our minds as we move from one point to another. Because one thing for sure, you can take him from Town, but you cannot take Town from him. And so there's a lot of things that are on my mind, and I hope our brothers and sisters will see reason to do what is good for our people. And that's some of the things that is on my mind tonight.
Okay, all things considered, we hope to engage the audience as usual. We always like to make them to form part of our conversation, talking point here, so as to empower them to be part of our discussion here. A lot been unfolding inside Liberia and out here as well. So, what is the most event is that capture your imagination this what Tuesday
Well,
we have this little incident. It's not going away.
no,
uh,
no,
late this evening the police Mossadegh is bouncing back. Five police officers have been dismissed, including the ERU pressing this rope and calling from prosecutions. Is that a different version of Mossadegh? We have the inner week, Eula receiving good cash. Apparently will be receiving. Some came in from GOL. Where does that put the administration of Eula into? So lots capturing here. Take the bottom to top approach here. Let's have a quick talk.
well, Mr. So let's just take the first most serious one, and that is the sad passing of that young girl. We don't know exactly what transpired. We're hoping that the government and its apparatus, their security apparatus, the investigating arms of the government, will come through this time around and help us to understand, what exactly happened, because we have relatives in Liberia, and some of us are going back and forth in Liberia. So this thing could have been anybody. So once we know what is happening, what has happened, perhaps if the government is not able to protect us, and I'm not saying that not, then perhaps some of us might try to say, okay, well, I can do X, Y, and Z to protect myself. Not necessarily violent means, but you can try to plan your route. You can try to plan your evening. You can try to do things that will be safety minded procedures that are going to be taking place. So I think we will pray that the government will seek reason to give us some explanation, not necessarily explanation that I will agree with or that anybody will agree with, but at least let reasonable mind say yes, that the government have done their work, and the government will continue to do whatever they have to do to make sure this information is provided to the citizen so that they can take precaution of next time when nobody is going to be able to bring this girl back. But let the people, let the family members have some sort of a closure. Let them understand what happened to their daughter. Even if you are not, but you cannot say, we know that this girl died. You cannot say that there's nothing here. Even if there's nothing, your explanation of explaining nothing must be credible enough. It shouldn't be just from you. You must have other investigative arms. You must have other medical practitioners, those who have the experience, those who have done so many of these type of investigation. Let them be the face of the government in this regard. But if you have people who are not trusted, and this government and any other government in Liberia has not been trusted, people don't have trust in them because of the past record. So if you have people who the Liberian people don't have trust in, and they're going to come out and make statement that perhaps people are not quite on board with, then it's very difficult to accept. And so I will hope that the government, just so that the family of this young girl, as I stated, will have some sort of a closure. Let them find other means this time around and give the information that will be at least something that people can hang their hat on
Is that
and
most
use for
likely to
years.
happen? Do you think?
Well, I hope so. I hope so because there are some serious minded brothers and sisters who are in this government. And I'm hoping that they themselves will find reason to say, okay, somebody died here. And this is the explanation we can give. And at least, even if people do not believe it, but there must be some people that will say, okay, well, let's look a little bit deeper. Let's find out what really happened and give us the timeline of this young lady last time on earth. Give us at least 2 3 hours of timeline of what happened. And I'm not saying that I'm going to accept whatever explanation that's going to come out of there, but at least give us some timeline that will follow the trend of what people know this girl. She's not somebody that just came from the sky. She have friends, and these friends have information. And let the information that is going to be coming from the authority, can it be collaborated with whatever the friends, the relatives, and people are saying? Those who saw this girl coming into the store, those who saw this girl coming to the premises, let them be people that you put out front, and if they can collaborate your investigative arm, or those are things that I'm looking for. But I'm not saying that even if they can bring whatever, I'm not saying every one of us as Liberian will be on the same page to agree with the government. But I think this time around, this is very painful, because this girl could be anybody's daughters. This girl could be anybody's sister. And then she is somebody's daughter. She is
Okay.
somebody's sister.
All
So
right.
let's have
Let-
some credible information this time around that at least we can hang our hat on.
All right. I'm getting news. I don't know the authenticity of that news. Hopefully, presidential aspirant or presidential candidate, perhaps to be, he's declared his intention. Councillor Twawan Gonglo, we are hearing he will be representing the family of the deceased, Princess Cooper. Will try to verify that information, Texas folks, but they have not uh, responded. We will dwell on that. But let's profile the onset of this case with voice coming out of the deputy police director for public affairs, who happens to be the spokesperson, Moses Carter. No foul play. I went on a case study in my own state here today at downtown Pawtucket uh, to have a conversation with people within the crime scene divisions. However, they were very much crystal clear because they do not have all of the information relative, but just explain on the surface, try to see the video. And one of the key questions uh, they asked whether there was a autopsy already being committed. They want to know the state of the person. They were just opinions expressed because they do not have but it was quite extensive, engaging, and there was some critical question that I wish was sort of hair scratching in terms of things that they do here. The guy said that might not be applicable in Liberia. Liberia might have our own way to conduct, and he used a word that might be variables of. He said there must be too many variables. That's the word he used. You know, meaning what I was a suicide. I mean, different thing. And I'm saying this to say he was just speaking on the surface on things that we were talking, but he what he stressed on was what I saw autopsy. Is it coming from the government? Is it independent? And all of these kind of little tricky, relevant question. Now, I had a conversation this evening with the gentleman, Batifoyan, who broke the news from Cool Online 2 FM, and it was quite interesting. Now, Director Carter came off front. I don't know how he arrived at that decision as to say no fight, there's no fight play. It's like closing the door on yourself. Tomorrow, hopefully, the autopsy report is expected. Should we take a retrospect of his statement in the past and tie it to the potential result of the autopsy? No foul play.
Well, so before I go on to say that, let me just first welcome my own brother here, But Jerry, good evening. I said, but Jerry, but Jerry, good evening to you as well. He's watching from all the way, I believe, from Phoenix area. He's a big brother of mine as well. I say, good
Why
evening,
you? Why you? Is that a fear you try to attain? You come
Mr.
back here
So.
again
If I
tonight to start
see
looking, who not looking?
Mr. So, if I see the older brother who is watching me, with from the perspective of being respectful as
I
usual to
think
my
what
older
is happening now,
Mr. So,
you try to
please
see corporate
let
sentiment.
us don't try to derail these wonderful conversation that I'm hoping to have with you here tonight. Let us don't start on a bad note here, please. Let me just say thank you for my brother who's watching me, and from the sake of respect, as usual, when we were together in Monrovia, even back home, we respect. I always had high regard for him, and he's watching. I just want to point that out. But no, let's go back to Mr. Carter, Mr. So. Mr. Carter's statement of saying there's no foul play as far as they were concerned. I think
Hmm.
Mr. Carter did have some sort of a condition. I believe he stated, and I'm just paraphrasing, and I could be wrong, that as far as the investigation on hand, whatever information that has been obtained so far during the statement, and I believe he was basing that statement on whatever information the medical practitioners, those who were assigned, and the police just brief investigation, whatever, from their description of the crime scene and what have you. Perhaps based on that, he made that judgment, and that judgment call, I don't believe that this was the end.
Was it a mature
Yes,
judgment?
yes, yes. He said, and I'm not here to defy. I don't even know who he is, but once again, I will be truthful. He said, and I'm just paraphrasing, based on the investigation so far, because they have not gone
Was
out
that a
to.
what? Was that a what he said based on the investigation so
Well,
far? That's
I'm
not
just
what he
like I said,
said.
I'm paraphrasing. I'm not quoting him.
But why do you want to reconstruct his
Mr.
word? He
So,
said,
why don't you let me finish my statement?
"No, I don't. Don't do this here again this evening. When you paraphrase, you try to retrieve, but you are completely reconstructing what he said. He said,
Mr. So, the
go
reason why I'm
ahead.
not quoting him, because I seriously, to be honest with you, I've not even listened to his statement. The only thing that I read was that he said there's no foul play, and I'm surmising. And let us do this here. Let us also understand that Director Carter, he's a professional. And so, speaking from a from professional background, I am also a professional. Let's put it that way. So, when you come out to make these kinds of statements, you are not so much making these statements as in closing the door. He's making that statement from that particular moment, from the time the people came back from whatever preliminary investigation happened, the information that was brought back to him at that particular moment, and he was speaking from there. He didn't say we haven't done anything. Well, our investigation has been closed. He didn't say that. So basically, what I'm saying, and I'm paraphrasing because I have not listened to him for me to quote him correctly. So I'm just saying, and please let me do that as an intellectual. You yourself, you don't go into these kinds of stuff and try to close the door. And I don't believe that Honorable Carter will come on public arenas such as his office, and especially with the death of the young lady. When he made that statement, most likely it was not even 72 hours when he made that statement. So, Mr. Carter, being an investigator, Mr. Carter, being a police officer, also know that the investigation process is a long and arduous process, and he's not going to close the door. So, from that perspective, I'm saying, and I'm paraphrasing, that he didn't close the door to say the investigation is over and there
Yeah,
was no
okay.
foul play.
I'm really hoping to have a conversation. And that was one of the things the officer, the crime scene investigator said today. He said usually something that appears to either be a suicide, homicide, or something of some sort of a mysterious. It has a long term. But when I also deploy the word of no foul play, the question asked was, And that comes back, it's going to be part of our conversation here, whether there must be change inside with our investigators or how things is being done. And he wanted to know whether that pronouncement were made by medical examiners, which is very crucial. Do you think we need to change, or the government needs to revisit the start of investigations of potential murder, homicide, or mysterious death? Because, and the reason I'm asking that too, I think it's better in the sense that you bring medical examiners, they go through their, medical ritual and whatever it is, they can answer question because they will go through the examine, they do the examinations of the mortar, and journalists or people, citizens will want to know, they will answer those questions. Police will look at the criminality, the criminal aspect of what happens and stuff like that. Do you think we need to change uh, or revisit that aspect as to, and police or police spokesperson we just come based on the findings of the medical team or county, the district attorney or county attorney, because there are a lot of groups of people usually are involved in this sort of such a case like that. Do you think this we need to revisit the condition?
Yes, yes, Mr. So let me just give you a brief, I'll give you an example here. And without me going into a detail, there's a project, engineering project that I'm trying to get myself involved in. And when I was in Liberia, the subject matter came up during the discussion with the clients of that project. And the client were asking for international standard to be applied in this particular highway design. So I'm saying this here to say that many professionals in Liberia will want Liberia and Liberians' behavior and Liberians' application of international standard to be the hallmark. So the police department and their start of investigation is no different. Now, I will hope that I'm hoping that nobody else die, but I will hope in cases where the police are involved, okay, it doesn't matter what type of case they're involved in, that they should have different professionals along with the spokesperson to be able to answer different aspects of whatever investigation is going on. Now, say for example, in this case, you have somebody die. How did the person die? Now, Mr. Carter is not a pathologist. Mr. Carter is not he's not somebody that can open people's heart up or open people gut and say, okay, this is why. He's not a medical practitioner, so he cannot speak from that perspective. Mr. Carter, hopefully, he's speaking as a police spokesperson, but he's also is not a leading investigator. Mr. Carter only report what was passed on to him. So the reason I'm saying this is I'm hoping that if and only if, and I pray to God, we don't have this kinds of situation anymore. But if and only if, that Mr. Carter will even invite some of the people, the leading investigator, to be on that podium and speak to these things individually, to say, this is what I saw. This, and Mr. Carter should not come out and become secondhand information, passing on secondhand information to people. He can do that. But if you come in as a spokesperson, you come and open the door to say we're investigating. But I have with me Detective X, Y, and Z. I have with me the medical practitioner X, Y, and Z. And you go down the line so that the press will ask these people, each one of these people, a pertinent question that is important to the investigation. And that will clear Mr. Carter of any kinds of situation where perhaps people will say, why is he saying this? Does he have experience in this area? But if you have these people coming in to speak on each of these individual questions coming from the press, and there will be many questions that will be even addressing to Mr. Carter himself, and he can speak to it. But his own statement will be based on general issues, but a specific question will be addressed to each individual, those who are fully participating in any of the questions.
You seem to be fighting for redemption here this evening.
Mr. Soul, and let me, if I may say to, Let me just tell you this. I'm a liberal. I don't know how many times I got to tell you guys this. I go where the truth is. If I see the truth, what you ain't saying my ain't saying you more. I'm scared of anything. I block you. You can't do nothing to me. So if I see the truth, whatever I see the truth, I will follow what the truth is. And I don't expect you to agree with me. I expect you to disagree, and that's okay. But
Okay, let me bring in your friend and your brother.
Of course.
You want to see him? You want to see him?
Mr. So, the central right, you're trying to butter him up so he will continue to stay on your side. But I can assure both of you, bring him on and I'll make my statement anyway. I can assure both of you that by the time this night is over, the progressive will be on top, the liberal progressive will be on top, and then you and the central right will be coming along my way. Easy.
Let's get a ball rolling. Okay, let's see here. He's here. Let's see here.
So why are you putting him at the bottom? And on a right of you and him now side by side. I think you guys are setting me up again tonight. But I'm prepared. Now here we go. Now I can deal with both of you on top. That's okay. That's what we do anyway. That's okay.
Very interesting, Omen.
I tell you,
Mr. George, good evening and welcome.
How you doing, Mr. So, and how you doing, Mr. To?
Okay, we are looking into the playbook, and we hope to engage our many followers, our followers, folks who want to welcome you, Maurice, Eric, our man Mikey, Joel, Rebecca, of course, Saber Harris right there in PA. These are our prime-time followers, viewers, Anthony Rogers, and the list goes on, so we'll try to go through. We will give recognition to Ido out waxing. Look, it's all about Liberia here. My guest, Pa George, let me just bring you in. You are a good friend of mine, and I think we'll continue to remain good friends. Some sort of neverness is taking place now. It's stretching. Who are you looking for on the online? Something. You are so mean. You only recognize your brother or your uncle. All the other folks that took up time to listen to you, there was no recognition. Well, let me go to George. Let's leave that there. So, Mr. George, a lot been unfolding of lately. All things considered, what is burning within in you?
Was it all of the above?
Oh my goodness!
Look, the country, a now we are. Every day.
Hey, Margaret, Margaret, welcome. Mm-hmm.
But I look at so many the stories are unfolding in Liberia, and here, Rouse International Airport, they said there was no current. I mean,
you are taking me to the Joe. You're taking me to Joe Tessa. People endanger the life of the president. Someone should be fired, dismissed.
Mr. So, I would vehemently disagree with the president endanger. If there's anything, he endangered his own life, not the people. It's your money we are. If anything, he is the one who endangered his own life. Go ahead.
Explain why.
He is the president of the Republic of Liberia. He has the power to appoint and to dismiss. This is not the first time. This is not the second time that our airport is in darkness. So I don't know why people want to make it like, oh, this is the first time. No. And he sees it and don't want to take any action. So I don't worry about it.
Are you saying he brought it? Are you saying he brought it on himself?
Of course. I'm just saying it because other citizens. But for him, really, let me be honest, I don't care about him in happening.
My goodness.
That statement is unacceptable for me. You have the right. You have the right to say. You have the right to say it. He's my president. He's the president of the Republic of Liberia.
Mr. Toll.
Hold on. He's the president.
No, hold on. Let's have this straightened up.
Mr. So.
Hold on. Hold on. This is LPR. I am in charge. You are not in charge. Amos George is not in charge. So I can tell you guys, hold on. You can't tell me, hold on. This is how you can start overthrowing government in our country. Okay? So when we having this sort of conversation, when I say hold on, I am running the show. Mr. George,
Mr. So, you're running the show, but you're not a dictator, and we will not accept you to dictate to us on this platform how and when we supposed to speak.
He's
no, Mr. George, hold on. Like I said, I'm ready for both of you here again tonight. I am quite prepared for both of you. What I will not accept you to do. Yes, you're running the show. You are the moderator. That's fine. But that does not mean you are a dictator. And I'm not going to sit here as a liberal for you to push me and bamboozle me to be quiet. That is not going to happen. Let me address Mr. Judge.
No, hold on. No, you wait. You're not addressing
me. Let me land.
What is burning within you? So are you starting again tonight?
I started the liberal car.
You said liberal, but you want to sanction people's voice. Joyce says something, and not just only to me, viewers, people are listening.
Yes.
I'm asking, that's not only you alone, President. He's my president. I can disagree with him on policy. But he also has the right to give him the chance to explain what he said.
So
and that's what I gave him. Go
ahead, Mr. George. Go ahead.
The premise I'm laying, this is not the first time. This is not the second time. This is not the third time. This is not the fourth time. And the president has the power to hire and fire. If someone at the airport is not performing, that can endanger the entire country, people's lives, and the president is not taking action, that means he doesn't care about his own life. It's just plain and simple. It doesn't take anybody, rocket scientist, to figure out that things are not working. If he can go and fire a former managing director from the airport, not for electricity business, but for something else, then what was something that his life and other people could go down within the twinkle of an eye, and he's not concerned about it? It's not the first time to say, oh, this thinking as a surprise. No electricity, no LEC.
You've been singing a song before I bring in liberal, not the first time, not the second time, not the third time, nothing, no specific reference were made to those instances that you cited.
Oh no. People can say, yo, Mr. Stowe, the airport, I think after 10 o'clock, it goes dark. Why you think Air France is pulling out?
You know what? I don't want you to talk about Air France this evening, because when you talk about Air France, it makes my blood to boil.
Okay.
Up to this 1 week I stayed in Liberia. My suitcases, I never got them. Air France, the folks in Liberia, this is so ridiculous. The management, everybody, this whole stealing thing is like it's running through everyone's blood vessel. And I saw that you're going to come to your point. Or the way you call Air France name now, you're trying to get my pressure to go up. It's unnecessary, because I am hurt, and I just don't know, because there were some things that were took with me to be used for funeral and other things. I never got them. Mm-hmm. Those things were delivered. While coming back in Paris, we're going to change it a little bit. But these are some of the bad behaviors in the country there. It's just everywhere. I went to the desk. The guy did a search, the warehouse system, everything. You know, they put together a system. And he said, oh, mister, yes, those things live here. You arrive in Monrovia on the 24th, but the flight that went in 25th, those suitcases were loaded. And I'm not just saying he's saying it. He showed me it. I saw everything on screen. He calls Liberia, and management said no. So where did the plane start? From Paris straight to the place?
Mr.
Give the wrong number. So it's crazy. Let's leave Air France business here.
Okay. There's your kumbaya stuff here tonight. Yeah, I'm not falling for it. And so one thing I want to say to you and Mr. George, when we leave, you guys can share your Air France. So you guys, let me go back to it, because I'm still boiling, to be honest with you. Mr. George, Let me try to disabuse you a little bit. The president, Dr. George Manuel Weah, is the president of the Republic of Liberia. I don't agree with him on many policy issues. I don't agree with him. Even if I was in Liberia during the election, I wasn't going to vote for him. I was here on my platform that this man should not be the president of the Republic of Liberia. But the Liberian people, those who I said that I'm advocating for, decided this is the man they want. Who am I to say no? I said, fine, let's give us 6 years and we'll go for election. Mr. George, he can be an inept president. He can be unable to manage the affair of the Republic of Liberia. But that does not negate the fact that he's a human being. We do care for his life. We care for each other's lives. So
Mr.
we can't
So,
come here.
Mr. Toe.
This is even if the president was on the plane.
Mr. Toe.
Let me make
I
my
will
statement.
repeat myself.
I let you.
No, I didn't land. You just cut me off. I didn't land, but go ahead. No, you go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you. So the point here is this: if he's unable to fire those who are inept, that's his problem. That does not mean that he should now face the consequence of having a drastic or a tragic accident or what have you. So let us stay away from that run. First of all, we're not Mr. Joyce Central Right. The liberal is speaking. Don't behave like the CEO who want to be a dictator this afternoon. Please, I'm not going to sit here for both of you, central right and the far right, to try to bamboozle me into being quiet. You know that's not going to happen. So both of you can come out together and try to interrupt me. I'm not going to be moved because nobody, not the audience, not you, that can move this liberal progressive. No words that can move me. I'm Blaku. Let me say again, the reason I'm saying all of these things, Mr. George, is your opinion and you're entitled to it. But if we're speaking about the president of the Republic of Liberia, forget about the person who was occupying that presidency. The office itself is the flag of the Republic of Liberia.
What are you talking about here?
Mr. George, please. The flag of the Republic of Liberia, the executive mansion, all of us as Liberians are very proud of the process that brought this young man into office. So let us don't try to reduce this to a mere hatred.
It's not hatred.
And I'm not going to allow
hold
that.
on there. You know what? You liberal, this is how you're spoil the country. If you have a car, you hire a mechanic to fix that car. The brake is not fixed, and you decide to go and ride that car. You're not driving yourself to the grave? Aren't you driving yourself to the grave?
Do you want to respond from me? Do you want to respond from me, or that's just a satirical, as the CEO would say,
I was
a
never
satirical question here?
In that much, the president cannot take his own security into account. I don't care. Because it means that he's bringing it on himself. You got an airport that does not have a current for a plane to land. And I will repeat myself, not the first time this thing happening. And nobody is being accountable. And he is the person that put that person there. And he is the one that can remove that person and don't want to do it. So you want me to come here and say, oh, you know what? Yeah, the president. No. If it were the first instance, I would say, okay. Then you can say, okay. But that's not the first time.
You don't have second chances? You don't have a second forgiveness?
This is not second chance. I told you, do your research. Over 4 times that play have been occurring. Different occasion. What is the president? What is the president thinking of?
That should not be my argument. I agree with you. The president, listen to me.
Tomorrow,
listen to me.
If anybody behave like that, you're putting your own security at risk.
Fine. But here's where we differ. Here's where we differ.
We can differ.
The fact that the president, and I'm saying to myself, the fact that the president perhaps is inept and perhaps unable.
I'm not even using that word.
Okay,
I'm not even using that word.
Okay. I'm being most ridiculous at this point. So if the president action, as you're saying, bringing it on himself,
of course,
fine, that's fine. But what I'm saying is this: besides being the president of the Republic of Liberia, he's a human being like any of us.
So, and you are human being.
Hold on
Would
now.
you drive yourself to your own
dialogue? Let's have a dialogue.
Okay, let's have
a dialogue. And the Liberal is going to win this argument. There's no way you two will win. So I'm predicting already that I'm going to win the argument. So, but here's the point: the fact that he's the president of the Republic of Liberia. Let us agree he's a human being. The first thing. Now, as a Christian. And as a decent human being, because I
please don't talk about law business. I'm not a Christian. Don't bring no Jesus business.
Judge, the Liberal is on the floor. Will you please let me express myself? The night is just starting. Mr. Moderator turning to CEO turning to a dictator. Please, I'm on the floor. Now, Mr. Josh, let's agree.
Is that how you're going to be making a point? You want to be in a fight with everybody?
You guys continue to
I'm telling the guy to hold on. Let the Liberal get it out of his.
Okay, thank you for coming my way. Thank you, I appreciate that. But anyhow, here's my point.
I'm not coming your way. I'm just
on a very serious note. On a very serious note, the man is a human being like any of us, and not only is he a human being like any of us, he's our president, and we cannot wish ill on him. As far as I'm concerned, that is unacceptable. If the man is behaving in bringing tragedy on himself, and God help us, nothing has happened to him, we can point him in the right direction by saying, I can argue, and I will argue. You kept somebody in office who is not helping the country, not just Dr. Weah, but there are other private companies, other private airlines that are coming into the country, bringing in citizenry. I will soon be on one of those. So I want the president and the government to do good by providing or getting somebody who is capable of running. But because he's not going to fire somebody who I think is not doing a good job, does not mean I should wish ill
I never said
of the Republic of Liberia.
No, listen to me. I was not wishing. I say for me, I don't care because the president is not concerned about his life. That's my word, and I will stand by it.
Okay, Walter, I think
I think
you get somebody on your side, Mr. Thomas Jimenez. You should have second chances until people are killed. So definitely he has pivoted in your direction. So Liberal is doing everything possibly he can to get public sentiment to go in a recovery mode. He's trying to do that, so he portrays himself to be people that would bully him. He's been seeing himself as like a victim from me, from you, and kind of giving us a appealing tone to the viewers, to the listeners, to say, "Oh yes, he's been." Don't make yourself like a orphan child. You are not. Okay, let's put that to a rest.
Mikey, I'm winning. Mikey, I'm winning, my brother. I'm winning.
The guy is so addicted to what people are going to be saying online. Okay, tomorrow, news in the news cycle, in the news business, things that make headlines, those are the things that we are talking about. You listen to the gentleman, the guy that broke the news. We had a conversation here today, and we are hearing tomorrow, most likely, the autopsy result. We are also hearing human rights advocates, they call him poor man lawyer, but he's trying to go on the A floor now. Councilor Tuawan Gongo, I'm waiting for the confirmation from his folks that he's potentially going to be providing legal services to the family. What sort of strategy is he heading for?
Normally, I mean, that's something he had been doing before putting his head into this thing here. He had represented so many people, I mean, free of charge. So, and given the circumstances of running this girl deaf, maybe the parents would not be able to afford a lawyer that would be able to adequately represent their interests. Normally, because the government will be there, but the family is supposed to have a lawyer too. So that will also buttress that move of the family to make sure that their interest is fully protected. I listened to some portion of that young man interview, Mr. Sobo. I don't know. And I said it last time before. That young man, I don't know whether the police is talking to him or what. But
Who
there's
young,
something he said
who young
that
man?
the press show you had today, this afternoon, the guy that broke the story, another guy you had this afternoon?
Yeah.
Yes. And the guy you are showing, the guy that he said I was giving now, conflicting statement to them. That person is a person of interest too. And he said he don't know where's the guy now. That person is a person of interest.
Shame
You
on you.
heard that guy. He went in the place. They couldn't hardly find the way to get to the back of that premises. The question here is, how did the lady got into that area? And another thing that came to my mind was, what kind of car she took? Was it a motorboat, keke, or taxi, or private car? Leaving from where she was and going to where she was alleged going. As a police put a word to the public to say, hey, if anybody can remember picking somebody up from this point, please come to us. You don't have to come to us.
That one there, that picking up people from point, I don't know what that is, to be honest. I don't know what that is applicable in Liberia.
It's applicable.
I know its relevance is crucial to the case, because who knows whether she's going to meet another body, according to this gentleman today, someone that she
and that's the trace that's the pieces I try to connect. Because the person that pick up from point A to point B, they can tell me and say, hey, I pick her up and this is why I drop her. That will give people some idea where was the first stop. And if the second stop, you continue that way.
But we do know the last stop. Let's assume there was a transit point, but we do know the last stop, and we do know that she arrived at the last stop safely.
Okay, but phone conversation in the car, Mr. To. People are driving, but they do listen. People hear people conversation in that car. So you don't know what was said on her way. What else she was fussing with somebody? What else someone was fussing with her? What the conversation that was taking place? Why they were going? Something.
Okay. I think you are injecting a very good puzzle into this conversation here, because listen to what this gentleman said today, who has followed this case, and I'm going to be bringing in the liberal, and we're going to open the phone lines as well for our friends, so whether you agree or disagree of us expressing our views and opinion. We don't know it all. We try to dance around it here. That's another thing, because he said that this friend said there is nothing. Okay, maybe it's over the top. I'm not sure, but somehow, some ways, all of us, and most, especially ladies, I don't have the statistics to that, but they always tell someone or a friend to say, hey, but we always hang out together, but I'm going XYZ.
Yeah.
But and I say, I will tell you later, or I'm going I'm going to say, I'm not saying that was the case. But if we are hearing that this is something that she usually to tell her friend whenever she's running the errands, why this time around? And the reason I side with you with that too, who knows, there was something developed why in the taxi going, who knows, there was other conversation there that became tense, can't get down and say, okay, let me go there and all of that. And probably what you said, somebody could, might be there or, hear something, but we don't know. So the liberal.
Yeah, Mr. So.
I know you don't usually agree with George. You don't like Pat George for whatever reason. I don't know. Even when he
Uh,
says something good, you don't like us. You have said it. You make it crystal clear for
oh,
which you
that man
always
loves
put
me. He
for.
loved me.
Yeah, well, I'm going to say, this is what the far right injected into this conversation. Should investigator focus on that as well?
Mr. So, first thing I do not dislike any of you. I like you
Yeah,
guys.
I'm kidding. Don't worry about it. Don't panic over that. Let's go ahead.
I just don't agree with both of you ideology. I don't agree with the fact that both of you you're far right and he's center right. So there's no way you people and I can come to some sort of a kumbaya movement on any of our platforms. So please let us come to this position as an adversary in terms of ideology. So there's no question asked. I'm not going to take prisoner. I'm not here to be apologetic onto anything. Now, having said that, yes, I do agree with him. But this is what I want to say on this whole issue, Mr. So. We know now that the light of justice has gotten himself involved. And so at this point, I will stop all my speculations.
Who's the light of justice, by the way?
The Honorable Gonglo. It's the light of justice. He told the Chief
How
Justice,
many lights do you have? You know,
excuse me, what did you
light
say?
of justice. I always hear you talk about another light. Now we get light of justice. I don't know
Mr.
how many.
So I am entitled to the words I want to use. I don't have to explain to you why I chose these words. I don't have to
Okay.
explain to any. I'm
All right.
Blaku. I'm
You're right.
Blaku. But let me
Okay.
finish, Mr. So. You see, this is what look. What I notice and what I do know is that the tendency in you of being a detector is so sharp. So sharp. Sometimes it comes so crystal, especially when it comes to the liberal. But here is what I got new for you. I want to express that to you here as well. Mr. Soul, when is North Korea? Mr. Soul, at the last time I checked, Putin is in trouble. And you can't bamboozle me into being quiet, Mr. So. There is no way. This is not Russia. This is not North Korea. This is the United States of America. Secondly, and lastly, on this subject matter, Mr. So, I am a Liberian. And as you know, Liberian, we're not afraid. We speak our mind. We can disagree, but we speak our mind. Let me say this again. I don't intend to follow you and the center right to try to speculate this case any longer. The people that are involved, especially now that the Honorable Councillor Gonglo is involved, I think I will wait. And in order for me to carry on any other point on this issue, I will wait until I get some credible information from Councillor Gonglo, who would leave no stone unturned. Not necessarily for the young girl, we feel sad for her, but Councillor Gonglo involvement is also giving me hope that now our young brothers and sisters in Liberia, because he will follow this, whatever the truth is, he will follow it. And from his conclusion, whenever his conclusion happens, he would tell us exactly what it is that is happening. Some of us might not like it, some of us might like it, but he will be truthful with us. And that's what we want. And for that reason, I am no longer going to speculate or even discuss the issue further. Thank you very much. And I think we need to move on.
Okay. Well, thank you for expressing your views, your opinion. I know I am not Kim Jong-un, as you profess it to be, but that's a different thing. Okay. So with his involvement now, if there is a final report from GOL, and he as a counselor and say, okay, I am in agreement with whatever decision are going to come in, would that stabilize the conversation within the public cycle, considering his past record?
Uh,
Or will we
no,
see him to put up?
here is the thing here. If the autopsy report come up, Now she died of natural causes. The public will not be satisfied.
Why?
The way the case, the beginning of the case, the way it was being handled by the law enforcement, people will not be satisfied, and people don't trust the government. You saw the brother, Dr. Momo, when he said one or two things was missing in the report that Moses Carter read. That raises another red flag, doubt on people's minds. Because the brother is saying, I saw this and I saw this, but it was not mentioned in the report. And I have it here. That when you see the mistrust start coming. And the government will have to establish the cause of death. Because if it is any foreign agent that entered the body, it has to be identified. Or if there was no foreign agent, it was just a natural cause, something that caused her to bleed, to a family like that, they will have to give a complete report what illness she was suffering from that will cause that. Other than that, this again would be another nightmare for the government.
Mr. So let me buttress the central right a little bit. As usual, I don't agree with many of the things that come from both of you, but on this one, let me just say this. Mr. So, I think the government would do well to welcome the involvement of Councillor Gangler. Reason I'm saying this is this. Councillor Gangler, you know he's very trustworthy. People trust him. However, his involvement can also open the way for the government to be trusted on this case. Because there are two things here as far as I'm concerned, Mr. So. His involvement must be welcomed by the government, and the government must be truthful with him. Not because he wants to be president, that he will try to hide or try to use the government as a scapegoat on this because he wants to be president. If the government comes across as not being truthful, as not sharing information, pertinent information, and he comes out and says, we don't have X, Y, and Z, then the trustworthiness of the government will go down the drain very quickly. But if they welcome the council as not being truthful, as not sharing, Mr. So,
why every little thing you guys can flip you off?
All time, Mr. So.
Oh my goodness.
The CEO, the dictator of all time. You're trying to muddy the water here while the liberal is speaking. But I'm used to it. I'm very used to it. Let me make my point. If the government serious about this case, which I believe they are, they will welcome this consular involvement, and they will be truthful with the consular. They don't have to share all of their investigation information with the consulate, but the important information.
Hold on. You see.
No. Listen to me. Let me make my point and let me make it clear. When I said now, there are certain information as far as the investigation is concerned that are not to be shared with unless they go to court. But there's no court order. No, Mr. Central Right, please. There's no court order that is binding the government to share information with the consular for the defendant. I mean, for the decedent. Now, if the government is doing an investigation, and even within the consular circle, if there's a suspect in that consular circle, do you want the government to go before they even talk to the suspect to tell the consular? No, I would say no. So from that point,
when you said suspect,
I'm giving you an example. There are certain information that the government, if they're doing
Give
true
us
investigation,
concrete
there are certain
example,
information that the government
such as
should not and must not share
such
until
as
a certain time.
such as
However, let me say this again. They should welcome the consular involvement, and they should be truthful with the consular and tell him things that perhaps will be beneficial to the to the deceding family, that will bring some closure to the deceding family. And
so
and Consular Gonglo, on the other hand, can give true light to what is happening with this case,
sounds
making the
good.
government, in the eyes of the Liberian people, to be truthful.
Okay.
He's
Yep.
coming in with a true agenda that is going to be beneficial to the government and also beneficial to the people of the Republic of Liberia.
So here is the deal here. You are about to derail this whole conversation again, and too much ambiguity is in your coming out of you. The government must be truthful. They shouldn't share this information. They should share certain information. What are you talking about? What
Mr.
should be shared and what should not be shared?
Let me give you an example. So the government is investigate. They're the one in charge to investigate the case.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
So when they're doing, and I'm not a police science or any kind of investigative person, nothing like that. But I'm just speaking from common sense. So if the government is doing an investigation, there are certain information.
What are those information?
For
Be
example,
concrete.
Okay, for example, say I am part of the deceding family, and I'm part of the circle of the deceding, the deceased counsel and what have you, and I'm being investigated until I've been called out as a person of interest, or until I've given certain statement to the government. There is no reason for the government to come out and release my name to anybody.
But that is a different. Let me.
But that's what I'm. That's what. It's not different. It's the same. Number one. Let me give you another example, and you can come in. Let me give.
Let he give all his examples.
Let me give you another example, because here is what I know for sure. I'm going to win this argument as well, even though I'm not a lawyer. But I'm going to pretend. I'm going to pretend that I'm one tonight, and I'm going to. This scoreboard, if my score is racking up, I'm racking the score up. So let me tell you one other thing. So the government come
You're
out.
no different from Donald Trump. Everybody like you.
Mr. So, can I finish my statement before you start equating me with some bumfool calling himself president? Let me just say this. So the government doing an investigation, okay? And the government comes across with certain information. The consular is not an investigator. The consular is representing the decedent and the family. The consular is not part of the investigating team. So if the government is doing an investigation and they come up with some information that is leading them to a specific area, they are not bound to share that information with nobody, not including the consular. That's what I'm talking about.
Okay. Now let me tell you this.
I would never hire you as my defense team.
If Councilor Congo becomes a legal representative, legal lawyer for those people, every piece of evidence that they have in their possession,
you have access to it.
It will have to be turned over to Councilor Congo.
Not at this time.
Hold on,
folks, those of you that are listening, if you're a lawyer, please come in and give us some information. Not at this time. Not at this time.
Can you wait, Mr. George? Can you wait?
There's no case in court where the lawyer will have to be bound. The prosecutor will be bound to share information with the defendant.
Okay? Can you have Mr. George to share to get his side, please?
Listen. If Terror Gongo is the legal representative of that family, every piece of evidence that they gather will have to be shared with him. The point you're trying to make here, if the police had not completed the investigation, they will not pass anything over to the defendant, the prosecutor of the defendant for affirmative, they will not pass any pieces of evidence over to them. That's how it goes. So if he represents the family, or he will tell the people when the police say, hey, we are done with our autopsy. This is the report. The legal team for that family will be presented.
I agree.
With that
report.
But we are not talking, if the police is conducting an investigation, the council cannot ask them for any information.
But then why will you not praise me when I make that
No, hold
statement?
on now. Hold on. There are two different things we're talking here. You have to make the distinction. If the police is conducting an investigation, that team will not ask the police for any information.
I rest my case.
Hold on. But when they have concluded the investigation, every piece of evidence will be passed on to those people for the lawyer.
I agree. I rest my case.
All right, so, we gotta move on here. I always like to look at the other side of the case. Everything is opposite and equal reaction. What is the downside politically? He's not like ordinary poor man lawyer Twawan Gonglo. Twawan Gonglo now has a political ambition. Why it is in good faith, why it is true is on record that he has been representing people, but he also has a big political ambition. So his people also going to look at it. What is the downside of that?
Yeah, for the consular, Mr. So, there's no downside. There's no downside. The consular is coming in, and people know who the consular is, for example. He's coming in as someone who is not defending or who is not representing the decedent and his family. Let's put it that way. Now, the question then is, if for some reason, like I said, there's no downside. For some reason, if the government refused to cooperate, people will say, oh, you don't want to cooperate with him because he's going to be your opposition, or he's going to be your opponent during the election. And therefore, you guys are trying to hide. So
okay, but yeah, is a second version. Other free thinker on the other side will say you're not even cooperating with the government because you are opposition, and so you want to do everything.
There is no way they can say that because Consular Gonglo is not doing an investigation.
But Mr. So, here's the thing. Everybody knows Consular Gonglo in Liberia, that he had done pro bono work for most Liberians. So if he had not been doing so, and only decided to do so at this point, then of course, the downside would be that, oh, he won't gain some attraction from favor. But this is something he had already been doing. And yes, the thing here, Mr. So, most of the cases, people that are murdered in Liberia, you now see the family to say, oh, they have their own lawyers. It's always the government lawyers that take full control of that case. Because once someone is murdered, a capital crime, then the government comes in. But if you have money, you can get a lawyer to work along with the prosecuting team. And this is why Councilor Gonglo now is saying, telling the family, okay, I will represent you people. So
let's take, gentlemen, let's have a quick break and get a glass of water, and we'll be right back.
From the West African nation of Cote d'Ivoire, Liberia Public Radio and Television present Business Diary. This program focuses on the activities of business institutions and individuals in society.
I'm Jeremiah Zawu Senior, CEO of All Nation Bank. It has been very good to have this business established here. We are 1 year since we opened here in Anono. There have been few challenges here that have faced in this country, and that is all about the language. But here instead, I refuse to be deterred. I refuse to be discouraged. I open a business and things have been fine.
My name is Mercy Wakarilanga. I am a finance officer working for an international organization. I have a master's degree in business administration. So today I'd like to take the opportunity to talk to you about the COVID pandemic and how it has affected the business sector in terms of me working in an organization an international organization.
Don't miss out. Be my guest. It's coming soon on Liberia Public Radio and Television.
Okay, this Business Diaries is another program coming shortly on LPR from our Abidjan Thai correspondent as we look at success story of young Liberian entrepreneurs outside of the country to tell us their story. Before we come to the EULA issue, I want us to listen to this, and we have a quick discussion, and then we'll get to the EULA. It happens about maybe 5 hours ago. Let me see what happened to the audio.
Can't hardly get a volume.
Yeah, hold on one second.
The use of excessive force, the use of inordinate force will not be tolerated. Today, we have ordered the dismissal and prosecution of 4 officers. Deputy Chief of Police and PROU Commander Edmund Williams. He is the Chief of PROU, and he has been disrobed, dismissed from police, and he will be duly prosecuted. As you recall, this is in connection with the incident in Broadville that took place at a club that belonged to the Edmund Williams, where an assault took place and a civilian, Jethro McCarthy, was severely beaten. This is unacceptable, and what we saw there will not be tolerated. He, along with Inspector Otis Williams, is also disrobed, dismissed, and will be duly prosecuted. You will recall that there was an incident in Johnsonville. The victim is Esther Younger, which took place on February 4, 2022, where it is reported that a police officer and a military personnel severely beat victim Esther Younger. Our police officer is Sergeant George Black. He is dismissed and turned over to the prosecution for processing, and he will be duly prosecuted. Also, Officer Humphrey Khan at the red light, who assaulted a civilian called Orita Kalu and struck her with the gun in her stomach. He is also dismissed and turned over for prosecution. The country attorney of Mosowari County, Councilor Harvey, is here. He is being directed to commence investigation and immediate prosecution of these people. There will not be police violence. We repeat ourselves. The police will exercise due diligence, due discipline in the discharge of their duties. We know there are times that members of the public may prove to be challenging, may prove to be rowdy, but we ask them to exercise the necessary patience and discipline. Anyone caught using force against civilians,
anyone caught using excessive force in ordinary force will be disrobed, dismissed, and removed from the Liberian National Police. This is our message. Thank you. Thank you so much. So it's just a briefing.
Okay, let me see here. So let me make sure my microphone is on. All right, guys, are you hearing me? Let me load this.
Yeah.
Okay. Will be dismissed, will be disrobed, and will be turned over to prosecution. Have you seen this out of Councilor Musadin?
I'm not seeing this side of Councilor Musadin, but I'm quite surprised. I welcome the idea, but I'm a little bit disappointed in the Minister of Justice, to be precise.
Disappointed.
What happened 2018, the case in number 7, when the EPR officer shot and killed an innocent boy? Why he didn't come out? And what is that? What is the result of that investigation? So yes, I welcome that this is a baby step, but I think they need to do more than that, because there have been so many people who have been victims of police brutality in Liberia. And the Minister of Justice has not done anything, absolutely nothing. Today, they are taking to say yes, but I think they need to do more than this, because these are not only victims. There are so many victims out there from police brutality.
Okay.
So I don't know the young man who was beaten in Carway. I don't know his connection. Is that point there? Because what, is he someone special? Because he said he had $10,000 in his car. The young man that was beaten from Carway. I mean, Broadville.
Broadville, the club.
Yes. He had $10,000 and you're a business person. So this is what sometimes I say. The law should be for everybody regardless of your status. Because if we say that justice will prevail, it cannot be measured at one level for a certain group of people and another level for those who don't have.
Okay.
And this is why I'm seeing this more is welcome, but I think it's overdue, because there have been so many people from 2017, 2018, 2019, and we saw so many things caught on camera. Police brutalizing citizens. And the Minister of Justice had never taken this kind of step. And some of the cases are just going down the drain.
Yeah, Henrietta is saying, what happened to the boy that was caught out?
Yes, that's the most recent one.
All right. So
that was not done by police anyway.
Yeah.
That was not done by police. But the minister of this one, he's focusing on people who are suffering from police brutality recently.
Excessive force being deployed.
Excessive force.
Let me break in.
Force by people recently. But I'm trying to cite other cases back then. Why the government was not taking these kind of steps towards as to serve as deterrent. Instead of getting out of hand, then you come up. That's why I said that's a baby step, but that's the long overdue. And that's why I'm asking the minister, what happened to all those people?
Okay, let's have a conversation. Let me bring in the Liberal. The Liberal has been very calm, so you were never interrupted. So when he coming out with his Liberal, yeah, when he coming with his Liberal point, let's just deal with this as it is. So Liberal, let me just ask you,
Mr. So,
hey,
why will you put condition on my speaking when he come up with a Liberal point? When he,
I'm using your own words. You say you're Liberal. Don't let that give you some sort of cholesterol up. But let me ask you this. That is Musadin, the chief prosecutor, Minister of Justice, legal advisor to the president. Sitting there, right on his shoulder there, is the Inspector General of the Republic of Liberia, Commissioner Patrick Sulu. Is Musadin putting LNP in a recovery process? What do you think? What do you think?
I'm going to come to this conversation here from 2 points. One is I welcome the minister position, perhaps, and like any other person, every one of us will evolve from one point to another. So perhaps they're pivoting to the right point, as far as I'm concerned. But I'm not going to go and chastise them for past behavior, because we can go all the way to past administration. So, but I'm not going to do that. What I can say on this is this: I am very grateful to now have the minister that perhaps in his security apparatus are now seeing reason that Liberians are human beings like any other person, that Liberians must be treated fairly, that justice must be for all and not for few. And so if they're coming to this light, we should appreciate that and we should applaud them. And I do so. The other point that I want to make on this here is this: that I'm hoping that this is not just a political ploy, because the election is quite around the corner. And so now we're going to see these people are now coming out with all kinds of shillinking to try to get the favor of the Liberian people. I hope this is not the case. And I'm hoping that our brothers and sisters that are in the security apparatus will not come out because they feel that Liberia and Liberians deserve the best. And so they are now demonstrating to us that the best is yet to come. And Mr. So, I am very grateful to see the minister, who most of the time do not even have this kinds of press conference, let alone to speak for more than 2-3 minutes. And I'm very happy to see that the minister is now taking the form of true justice. I'm hoping that this will be the beginning and not the end. This will be the true form of justice, and it's not an exception. Mr. So, I'm very happy to see that.
All right. I think those are very good observations. I just thought that we put.
And let me just say something, Mr. So, to the liberal there. You know, every time something happened in Liberia, the excuse people got you run to the past. Oh, it happened in the past. That excuse, I don't want to, I hate to hear from people. This government came on a march of change. 4 years, they've been sitting down. Liberians have been brutalized by police. And today they took the very step now, then you want to come, oh, it happened in the past. That's a poor excuse. That's not justification for their action. It's not justification for them not acting on it. That's why they took state power. So don't point at the past. Because if we wanted to remain in the past, then of course, the United Party should have been in government today. That's why change come about. Not continue to pass, oh, it happened in the past before. No. Yes, we can reference it, but not in these kind of instances. That should guide us to move forward. But when you sit there and hold power for 4 years, 5 years, election coming out, then you see the Minister of Justice jumping on one time and say, oh, yeah, we're ready now to fight crime. Come on. This must be a political storm, as you said it, which I will agree on that one. What happened to all those people for the past 4 years who are suffering in the hands of police that are being paid by the state to protect them instead of brutalizing them? What happened to the 4 or 5 years? Why they are not been going after these officers? Is it because election coming next year? Then you want to show someone, oh, I'm the minister, I'm the attorney general, I can fight crime. But the Liberian people better open their eyes.
The liberal?
I'm not going to go down the rabbit hole.
Oh.
I will let the central right speak his mind. I'm not going to follow up on any of that stuff because it's not my job to defend the government. And he has put the government on the spotlight, and I think somebody from the government or somebody else will try to respond. But I'm not the one to fall into the rabbit hole here tonight.
You gotta be there. You gotta be taking a short ticket to go back.
Okay. Oh, okay. All right. Okay. Let's get a final pick here, and then maybe I can throw a line up before we wrap out. Look, something happens during the inner week in Pennsylvania. The Unions of Liberian Association. I am part of that. I served as commissioner for 4 years. Advocacy group, the Minister of State for Presidential Affairs, principal deputy to the president, and other government officials attended the ceremony, which was colorful, by the way. It was good. But I did hear the minister that a budget will be inserted in the next fiscal year, $300,000. I'm quite sure we are talking about US dollars. I'm not talking about the fundraiser, what it gave. And I haven't, our own Ajat, I have not seen the press statement. Maybe it's out there. I have not seen it. But I feel what is happening if Eula accept and allow herself. I know government, they can give a donation, but let me just put this out here. Let me start with you, Libra. Since you plead the fifth to the to Mr. George, maybe I'm not sure whether you're going to plead the fifth on this one here. What do you make of the government, should I say, gesture? And interestingly, Eugene Fagon was the one that introduced the Minister of State for presidential. What is going on here? What are we missing here, big time?
Mr. So, the Minister of State for Presidential Affairs and any other government official that participated in this whatever, I'll be careful here in this program. It's laughable. And the Minister of State for Presidential Affairs, who I believe is a decent person, but in this case, they should be ashamed of themselves. You have a city, Monrovia, it's so stink that when you get out of the plane, the first thing you smell is the stink from Monrovia all the way to Rawafield. Garbage are unable to be picked up all over the streets of Monrovia. The University of Liberia, the engineering department is unable to get funds. The medical department is unable to get funds. Clinics all over the country are not even up to par. And these people are going to come here and tell me an organization, a useless organization such as EULA, they will put 100, whatever amount they're going to put in the budget. Do they have that kinds of money? If they do have that kinds of money, why is it are they allowing our people to be cut off when it's raining? Why is it that the roads in the city of Monrovia itself are so much full of potholes that if you have a car, you don't even worry about the color of the car, but you worry about the undercarriage of the car. Mr. So, look at the street of Monrovia. Young girls, young boys, school age, are in the middle of the street selling just to make living for themselves. What have EULA done for the Liberian people? What's something tangible that any of us can point to? I've been around, I've been in EULA for many, many years. But what's something tangible that we can point to tonight to say EULA have done X, Y, and Z? The only thing tangible that I can say of EULA is the proof EULA produces some of the most corrupt individuals in Liberia. Many of them come from EULA. EULA cannot function as, if you were to put functionalities of county organization, a district organization against EULA, EULA stand no chance. So for the minister, who I thought is the most important person in this government, who also have done such a wonderful thing, as far as I'm concerned, in this government, to come to this organization and make a pledge as such It's laughable. However, if this is what but I've always told you this, Mr. Soul. CDC will do something good today. Within 1 week time, they put their own foot in their mouths. They have done that again. Election is coming around. We just had an argument here a few minutes ago where Monrovia, the Ralphie International Airport, have no light from time to time. If you have that kinds of money, why would you allow Liberians to suffer? At night, no current, no water, and you're going to say you're going to bring money from Liberia? People who have donated money coming from international community donated to Liberia for Liberians to benefit. You're going to bring it here to this organization that is unable to do anything for its people. It's laughable, Mr. Soul. So I'm glad for you to give me the opportunity. I just want to say to you, it's not going to happen. You say you're going to put in the budget, the legislature people are going to refuse, because many of the legislature used to serve in EULA and they know the capability of EULA, how useless the organization, and these people, the senator, the representative, they're not going to allow you to put whatever money you want to put in the budget. It's not going to happen. I know Honorable McGill has power, but this is the time, if he wants to test that power, many of the representatives and senators are not going to accept that. And so, I just want to make that point clear.
Okay. Mr. George.
Yeah, I will butcher what he said. For me, outright, I said it before. I said EULA is a useless organization. Useless organization.
What? There's nothing good about EULA? Nothing good about EULA?
Nah, yeah, my point, Mr. Too. I think EULA was founded in the late 70s.
70-something.
70-something.
75.
75, so they're more than 50 years old, maybe, or close. What can people point at in Liberia? Is there any library? Is there any clinic? Is there any investment in Mayata and Makeba? Well, then, so they can improve their businesses? Is there any adult literacy program that you have launched in Liberia to help to improve our aunt and mother who sell in the market in the day that they can go in the night to learn something? Zero. What is the program that EULA from 1975 to today that they can say, you know what? You see in Liberia, these are things we did, and today the people are benefiting. What can they show? In America here, what is the office that they have here as a one-stop center for Liberians? When you have a parent, you can pick up the phone and call, they say, okay, we can refer you to this counselor. We can refer you to this person. Nothing. And for Minister Mangel to take taxpayer money in Liberia, our money, to dish it out to the useless organization, when teachers cannot have to get chalks to write, when Tylenol, the most common headache medicine, you can't find it in clinic, and you're promising 300,000. He didn't stop that. He said, and as we go, we'll increase it. He said it. The 300,000 will be the initial one, but as we go, we'll increase it. And let me say this: you may disagree with Ambassador Bang. Ambassador Bang confronted Nathaniel Market on stage intelligently.
Oh.
You could see the pushback from Nathaniel Market when the man told the same thing we're expressing here.
Okay.
Say there is too much power in Liberia for you to take money from Liberia to give it to these people.
Okay.
I told these people they are 501c. Isn't so, Mr. So you are part of the 501c?
I'm still part of that. Now I'm still part of that.
Okay, you still part of that. But and you are 501c?
Yeah. Okay. So
how you people can receive money from the Liberian government?
Okay. So,
I thought these people should have been people to raise money from here and send it to Liberia. But instead, it's vice versa.
all
Money
right.
will be coming from
Let's
Liberia to come to them.
let's okay. Let's get a pick from our callers, our viewers here. Let me go to the first number here, 619 number 0538. Caller, are you there? Good evening. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Thank you. My name is Sylvester. My name is Sylvester Lima.
Welcome.
From California.
Okay. Yeah, welcome, buddy.
This topic on the discussion regarding what happened at the ULA program. You know, I mean, for me, I get that sick, but the good part I took from there as well, I listened to one guy who responded very, very adequate.
Ambassador
But he said to Mangere that, look, to come and donate the kind of money to ULA, it's important that, in fact, ULA is an independent, we refer it as independent body. That such a money needs to go back to Liberia. I listened to him, and he spoke my heart. And I hope a lot of people within that gathering will follow suit. Because my brother, I was in Liberia 2 months ago. I was in Lofa. The only area we have as a hospital now, the prayer area. Churches. The people just think, don't think about going to hospital because not.
Okay, let's try and make it as brief as possible so that other people will go. We will be wrapping up very shortly. But go ahead, and then we'll go to the go.
Yes. So with some with impression, I don't know what they're trying to solicit. Look, we need to come together and reject not only that, but anything in that format. People are suffering. People are dying. We need solutions to the problem that is unfolding in Liberia. Just talking on issues like this, I just want to contribute now because I have a feeling, I have emotion when I hear it. It touches me. I mean, I feel very hurt. But then God somebody spoke to my heart.
Yeah, but let me tell you now, don't let your pressure go up. We don't have we don't want your pressure to go out here before
you, brother.
Okay. Thank you so much. We allow people to speak their voice. I hope to host bring the president, bring the okay. Let me go to Minnesota, and then we'll go to our man James Davis. Ellis, are you there?
I'm here, Mr. So. Thank you again for taking my call.
Yeah, good evening.
I'm good. Hopefully, you guys are doing well in the studio tonight.
Okay, go ahead.
Quickly, I want to say to Mr. Toll. Mr. Toll, you're on fire tonight.
Oh Lord, everything about to for this conversation. This is what this guy been looking for somebody to elevate him. My goodness, go ahead.
So yeah, quickly, like I said to Mr. Toll before, the first time I ever had impact of seeing him was on another platform when he was talking about his brother and during the cool time. That really made an impact on me. I really appreciated his discussion that night. But just to get to my point about the ULA situation, like everybody is saying, on another platform yesterday there was a program, and I was on the side of the donation because I thought Mr. Cooney said that money was going to be sent to Liberia to do projects in Liberia, only now to find out that that's probably a lie because they're not even registered in Liberia. So I think really what happened here is some kind of backdoor deal. Somebody in the government, a high schools association with ULA probably lobbied for that money, and that's why they got it. So I think it's something of an inside dealing right there. That's my take on that topic. I wish you guys would have talked about the ANC, and not the ANC, but the UP getting approved to run in local when the framework document said they wasn't supposed to be allowed to. I don't know why you guys forgot to touch on that subject.
We didn't go on that. So we just hit on 3 major points here this evening. So maybe subsequent conversations we will look at that. Okay. All right. Thank you so much. Okay, Mr. Davis, are you there?
Yeah, thank you very much.
Okay, so you now saying your own contribution as well?
The ULA.
Go ahead. The way you asked me, say I can't end the question.
My concern is all the going to be concerned about is at the airport. That concern lies. This is not the first time. It will come a time when all the airlines can go Liberia now. without starting in Sierra Leone, doing taking car to go there. Without going to drive by road. So it should be every Liberian concerned about our airport. It shouldn't be depending on fire soon electricity. When the fire soon will not go down, if you can use a generator, they can always tell. I work at the airport at the Liberation Aviation. They will tell you that we can supply the airport. So the airport will have own generator. All the blue solar panel, the way the FIR at the base they're using solar panel. The FIR get over 200 solar panels, like electrify all the signs, the officers and also ever. They're giving a good light at our airport. So the airport can bring solar panel, it will solve some of the problem to let the runway and let the building there. The airport is very important. If all the great people are not concerned, you're going to start starting to Sierra Leone, Guinea, or Africa. The whole country will start buying buses to go buy Montreal. So what can be happy? Because all the airlines will start leaving. Because we only get 3 aircraft in Brussels and Royal Morocco. You know, easy airline, you say 1 minute will gone. So that's what I'm talking about. About the money this way, I'm sure the government really they're confused. They're not even competent, they're confused. I can't even go too much into it. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Those are the views and opinions expressed. Remember, what I was said on this network is not the views and opinions of the management and staff of the Liberia Public Radio, but we do facilitate this called conversation. Here, how I'm going to take it. I also been a EULA member and still a EULA member with the Liberian community right here in Rhode Island. Work with the elections, there a lot of tension been going here. But from what I see, I got a lot of messages to date, and there was a single word that establishes identity with what happened: compromise. Period. That what EULA has done. But I look at another component of this whole thing to see it as another political ploy or good political strategy. If you look at EULA from in the past and even now is heavily infested with unity partisan. That I can tell you. So I'm wondering here, walking through this corridor, establishing this sort of interim union, is it meant to demoralize, to neutralize unity partisan? And how can even EULA comes out now tomorrow to tell GOL this is what you are doing?
Mr. So,
I think they went far. The administration, they went far. Whether there's a relationship with the leadership, there's nothing wrong asking the Minister of State for presidential if he could come and give his own contribution.
I don't have a problem with that, right? I don't have a problem with that. But community government.
That's what I'm talking about. I don't know whether these people they get some kind of consultations and they kind of knock heads together. Even if there was something GOL playing or they have in the pipeline, do you think it was logical? It was strategic? It was wise to make that sort of pronouncement? I don't think so. But again, we are in the season and the time is almost about to get wrapped. So these people, politicians have the ability to always try to solidify their political base and be able to gain favor. That's how I see it. It is ridiculous. It is absurd that we will want to take money now. It's just not only a advocate group. Yeah, okay, that's the nuclear of the whole thing here. To also try to speak on behalf of diasporans, Liberians on critical issues. Well, how can you do that? Well, somebody have already gone to you and you
compromise.
die. So there's a big compromise there.
Mr. So,
that's it. Why made that? Go ahead.
This is what I'm going to take out of this here as well. And look, there are two things here. A few weeks ago, we saw you brought about Unity Party being heavily involved with EULA, which is true statement. But here's the thing here. A few weeks ago, we saw the president of the Republic of Liberia engage Costa on a phone call.
Has he addressed it? Quickly, I had to intervene. I have now listened to a last podcast. Has he spoken on this? Has he addressed it? You know?
Who has? Who?
Costa.
Not that I'm aware of, but I'm just making a point. So, Costa, who is he supporting? Unity Party. Dr. Baka Wayne, that is. So we have Minister McGill. Minister McGill now is coming to EULA, who in EULA, most of them are Unity Party scene. So that goes to say that perhaps they're trying to woo the Unity Party scene to be on the good side of them. But this pronouncement from Minister McGill, you know who's going to reject it when it goes to the House of Representatives? Majority of the people that are going to be rejecting that from the lawmakers will be sedition. Even sedition, partisan sedition, will complain heavily if they were to carry out that amount of money to pass on to EULA. They're not going to accept it. So I'm not too sure why this minister decided to make this kinds of pronouncement, knowing full well it's not going to work, Mr. So. And one other last thing I want to say on this is this. When you do these kinds of stuff, these are not done in isolation. Media institutions, social media is all over the world. It's all over the world. Mm-hmm. And you know that the donor, the Liberian partner that donate money to the Liberian people, they are quite aware of these kinds of misuse of government fund. Now, if the minister were to come out and say those of us that love EULA and that are in position of power will try to rally around and try to come up with some sort of a program where we will come and solicit funds from ordinary Liberian people to give to EULA, then it makes sense. That would say, people would say, well, that's politics, but at least they're doing it from their own pocket. Never mind how they get their money, that's not my issue. But for you to come here and tell us that there will be a certain amount of money placed in the Liberian government budget, as though EULA is the form or is the arm of the Liberian government. What function EULA is performing here that is benefiting Liberians, for which they're going to get certain fund? Now, if you said that, will you also give Bason District some money? Will you also give Grand Unity Association some money? Will you also give all of these county organizations and district organizations money?
EULA is a mother organization.
EULA is not nobody's mother. EULA is a girlfriend organization. As simple as that. EULA, that's all they do. Girlfriend. Nothing else. They don't do nothing but that. So they're not mother organization. They're girlfriend organization, Mr. So. So let us don't try to sugarcoat this thing here. Like I said, I've been around. I've been in EULA business since 1980 when I got involved. In 1981, I was heavily involved. In fact, that particular year, I would say 81, 82, I attended most, if not all, of EULA organization conferences. You know why? I was then with the late Dr. Marcus Dunn, and I'm saying his name because he's no longer alive. But those of you that know EULA and know Marcus Dunn, you know EULA is Marcus Dunn. Marcus Dunn is EULA. And when I say I attended almost all of the conferences of EULA 81, 82, you would now know exactly what I'm talking about.
So EULA is being transformed?
The EULA is useless.
Before now, why are you saying that?
EULA is useless. It's not transforming nothing.
No, you said the day of Marco Down. So I
want to know why those days, EULA was then an organization.
Let me
was
ask you
true.
that. Hold on, something. So let me just ask you quick.
He's getting himself into trouble here
What?
now before we go home.
1982, 1981, 1982, 83. What kind of program you put initiated that today you can find in Liberia or here that honor the late Margaret down that they did for people in this country today can count on?
In the 80s, specifically the early part of 80, before 1985, when Tomo Woyu took over ULA, because that's when the whole issue started. As far as I'm concerned.
Also led the invasion.
Yeah,
Yes.
Thomas Woyu, yeah.
Yes. When he took over ULA, ULA then became an instrument of destruction. And since then, they have not recovered. But those days in the 80s, when ULA then was then an organization for good, they also were responsible in shipping books to bookstores in Liberia. I know of that because I participated in packing trucks. I know of that because there were books that came from Canton, Ohio, from the library of Canton, Ohio, that was shipped to Liberia.
Wait, hold on there. Now, you want to dig deeper. Those books you're talking about, what were the destination in Liberia?
Mr. Joyce, listen to me.
Is that in a library to send them to?
Listen to me, guys. Listen to me. Let me make my point clear.
There were
books. Let me make myself clear, please. There were books that came from Canton. I helped to pack some of those books on the truck that was to be shipped to Liberia.
Okay.
The end result is none of my business, and I don't care.
Nah, so don't come here to say you like those they did because
Mr. Central, at that time I was not in the leadership of ULA to know how the books were utilized. All I do know, listen to me. All I do know that under whoever leadership at the time, ULA was a force for good.
No,
the information you're sharing with us is inconclusive.
Because you cannot justify what you're saying. You're saying you are not in leadership. Because I want to know from you what institution the book was sent to in Liberia.
Mr. Joyce, and you're not stranger to leadership. You have leadership, and the leadership make decisions. What I'm telling you,
what we are saying.
Hold on now, you guys cannot hold me because you're not going to win this argument.
You're quick to get yourself in trouble.
Let me tell you this. I'm just testifying as a witness.
But you're not the right witness.
No, I'm not the end result witness. I am the beginning part. I am witnessing to you from the beginning. I'm not concerned with how it ends.
Do not say anything that you cannot end. Because then you are not a witness.
Mr. George, listen to me. ULA at the time, according to me, ULA at the time was good, was a force for good.
No.
Yes, I'm giving you the reason now. ULA at the time, there were books that were shipped to Liberia.
Where are those books? Where did
it go?
Okay, I hate to be ridiculous.
1979, 1980. No. I was in Monrovia.
Which house? The Senator Totan?
Exactly, the Senator Totan. But what I want to tell you is this. I know this for fact. There's an organization. Listen to me. Let me give you some more background. You're not talking to some slush. I've been around. There's an organization in Ohio called Folao. And Folao at the time, there was a guy who was then in leadership, Tim Suklo. Those of you that are listening to me that have been around, you will know. If you live in Cleveland, you know who Tim Siklo is. I'm not too sure Tim Siklo is still living. Okay, but I'm just giving you names now. Now, under these people leadership, you know how old I was at the time that I'm going to find out where these books are going? My job was to follow them and see what was happening. That's all it is. Because
why you should put your life on the line? Why you should put your life on the line for them?
Because I believe what ULA was doing at the time was in a good.
You're not telling us what they did in the past.
I just told you they ship books.
Mr. Toe, you cannot tell us ULA sent book to Liberia and you don't know where the books went.
But wait a minute. So you want to tell me that the fact that you have heard that America shipping weapon to Ukraine now you should be respected to know where in Ukraine the weapon is
Yes,
going?
yes. You know what happened? Yes.
What?
Hold on there. Because the Ukraine government has acknowledged. The government of Ukraine has acknowledged.
But that's not
Hold
not what I'm
But
telling
you person now.
I know for a fact that EULA at the time collected books and was shipping the books to Liberia. That's how far I know.
Did they ship it?
So you see,
that's not my concern. That's not the information. I can't lie to you.
So
I don't have that information.
Yeah, okay. So then,
and because so you want me, because I don't have that information, I should not divulge what I know.
Then use something.
What's something I'm
they say?
No, I'm not going to say they say. I myself packed the books. Why should I say they say?
But you don't know what the book was shipped to.
You know
doesn't matter.
Miss Amos Joyce, I strongly man, you packed the book and took it to your house.
Yeah, to total.
Now if you total, then if you total, because they're going to get a total.
No popular 1979, 1980, there have been no popular library in Liberia.
Because
what school?
If we look at this whole thing, then EULA, what began of? I'm not saying there are other things they are being involved in. That I know the advocacy, this dual citizenship, they've been going here and there. They are not being friends with government or because of politics. There's a gusa. We can't come and dump everything that you like. When it comes to immigration, this and that, they do a lot of awareness. I got involved. But the idea of them to come out for GOL to come and say they're going to have $300,000. I was in Liberia a couple of weeks ago, and I know of institutions or facility and other people, even the very police that we are talking about, that needs to be in order. If we want them to have an effective job being done, for them to come here and the direct principal deputy to the president, I think it wasn't given a second thought.
Poor Josh.
And when the liberal to come up, hold on, liberal, I don't even want to go there. And for you,
let me interrupt a little bit. The those days, the Guyula used to publish books. They used to, we have a book, a EULA book. Those, and I have the first copy, by the way, EULA book. Where in the book they tell you some of the things that they are doing and some of the things they have done.
Okay.
They cannot do that.
Amos Joyce, you agree with me? Those days, and a good that it came from out of himself, the very Tom Jokoti Woyoyu, who was one-time leader, those days they were going to the EULA meeting. That's where the whole planet came from and led to the destruction of the country.
1985. I was at that conference. I was at the EULA conference in Philadelphia that I believe brought the war to Liberia.
So then why are you taking out those days so that the books they were sending?
Before Tom Wowoyu became president, EULA was a good organization that was representing the Liberian people's interest. EULA used to go to not just to demonstrate, but to also plead with the American government on behalf of the Liberian people.
There's no any good side of the EULA today?
None.
What's about
the only good side I know about EULA right now? The only good side I know about EULA right now is girlfriend, boyfriend business. That's it.
What's about the EULA of yesterday? What's about the EULA of EULA of yesterday that initiated, planted, organized, and successfully executed a civil crisis in the country?
That's the kinds of EULAs we have today. Since 1985, when we had our conference in Philadelphia, the summer of 1985, when we had that conference in Philadelphia, where people publicly stood up that Doe and his government must be brought down by physical means, nothing else.
And nobody reported that?
We knew. Some of us knew exactly what was coming.
You reported that to us. You reported that to government?
Why should I report to what government? To Doe government? Me, Samson Toe, I'm gonna report what to do government. Hold on, Mr. So. You know, sometimes in these kinds of conversations, they are very unique. There's a guy, I believe, most likely is in Liberia now. the husband of my own cousin, Mata Kana, Amos Kana. So during the conference, 1985, the summer of 85, during the conference, Amos Kana came in when the conference was already in section. By the way, Mr. So, I represented I represented Rhode Island at the time. There's a gentleman, two gentlemen in Rhode Island right now. Sir Johnny, if you are involved with Liberian organization in Rhode Island, you will know Sir Johnny. And there's another guy called Sam Collins, who was the president of the Liberian community in Rhode Island at the time. And Sir Johnny, Sam Collins, myself, Sam Collins drove.
1973, I was in.
No, that was 1985. That's not 78.
I was in America.
Okay, I'm just telling you. So when we got there, Mr. Cannon decided to come to the conference, and Mr. Cannon was refused entrance by certain group from Atlanta, by the way, because I remember that, by certain group from Atlanta, that Mr. Cannon, he was accused of being one of the spy for Dole, and therefore he must not enter EULA conference. And many of us said, if this is a conference for Liberians, it doesn't matter whether he's spy or not, he will enter. And Mr. Cannon was able to attend the conference. And at that conference, Tom, what will you play the audio of Mr. Dole making fun of Ellen Johnson Sirleaf and her incarceration process. So I do know what I'm talking about.
Okay. What, gentlemen, is 10:14 Eastern Standard Time. Another big losing night for the liberal progressive. He has stepped on his heel back and forth. He tries to give himself redemption this evening, but he fails. So maybe you need to go to our man Mikey for Mikey to help you out. The liberal progressive, Amos George, I want to thank you so much for your time. And of course, our valuable listeners and followers. They are the most important folks. They stay with us. Their commitment, their comments, their tweets, suggestions, always welcome. Criticism, all of that, always welcome. And that's what we want to do. We're hoping tomorrow we're going to see the outcome of this autopsy that is expected, and we'll continue to have this information. So, gentlemen, I want to thank you so much. 30 seconds, and then closing final statement from you, Liberal George.
Well, I just want to say this. If those books were shipped to Liberia, I think USA has the documents. They can make it published to us so we can see the institution that those books were sent to. And tomorrow would be a very tense day in Liberia if the autopsy report will be released, because I know the family of Ms. Cooper, the emotion is very high, and I don't know what the outcome is going to be like tomorrow.
All right, the Liberal.
So, yes,
who did that to you? Was that me?
Excuse me?
You went out. Who did that?
That's your business.
Okay, I don't want you to say that I did it to you. So, all right, since that I'm a
no, let me make
Go ahead. Oh, good. The Liberal, the night is not a bad night for him.
Oh yeah. His own system vest with him kicking out.
I'm a business. Yeah, because he created myself labo tall. Plenty of things were coming from out of him. Yeah, somebody taste as a woo. So that's not me, folks. Mikey, my man Davis, Nambe, Dolo Duque. Now he will come back here tomorrow when we come. He say, "Oh, I found so did it." You know, I don't know. He's using how they call Boost Mobile Internet or whatever he's using. So Eugene, that your man, that old Harry, that your man, and I mean you the liberated, and I mean did that.
His sister had frozen.
Yeah. Okay, well, gentlemen, so I want to thank you, Pa George. Thank you so much for the time this evening, and as usual, we're going to be back here to all our viewers and listeners, followers. Let's keep our country in prayer. We hope whatever decision are going to come tomorrow, it will be a good one. Those people who did that to that young girl, I think they must be held accountable. That's all we can say. We just
whoever.
no one.
No stone should be left unturned.
Yet, no one deserves to die. There's no sanction in the country for which there is a statute of limitation. Don't go Douala, don't go Ganave, don't go Railway, because when you go there, XYZ. If it is a curfew, government will announce it. Everybody has the right to go where they want to go. What is important, their safety, and they deserve better than what we are. Pa Joyce, I want to thank you so much for your time this evening, and have a pleasant evening. Okay, folks, that's how we're going to bring the curtain down. It's been a very hectic day here at a second segment in row. I'm Alfonso Zienso of the Liberia Public Radio and Lpr-Tv. Always here to bring you news, information, and entertainment. I don't know what any of these political institutions have come up with any statement of condemnations or whatever the situation. We don't know yet. It's not that politics will be inserted, but those who want to take power, this is where they need to show leadership strength and their ability to lead, to also tell us how they're going to do it to make sure that Liberians are protected, whether they are for or against. That shouldn't be that sort of selective method to say, well, this person is now one of us, so the law is not in his or her favor. That's not what we should be doing. And we should be our brother's keeper as well. When you see something unusual, let this country see something, say it. Let us not manage crisis. We are not noted of managing crisis. Prevention is better than cure. Until then, have a pleasant evening and be safe. Bye-bye.
Give me the heart, yeah. In the morning when I wake up, in the night when I wake up, I will lift up my voice to heaven and give you the highest praise. Hallelujah to my King. Hallelujah to my Father. Hallelujah to my Jesus. I bow before the throne when I look at all the wonder and I see.